Welcome to Lesson 6 about classifications of words of our subject on logic or mantiq. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma akhrijna min zulumatil wahm wa akrimna bi nuril fahm. اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Okay, so before we embark on the present lesson that we have, which is lesson 6, let's have a quick summary of the previous lesson, which was a discussion on expressions or alfāẓ in logic. First, the conditions of expressions, therefore, may affect the meaning and cause of mistakes in thinking. Hence, the role of logic is to avoid such mistakes. Second, logic is directly related to concepts. But on one hand, concepts are so related to words that by hearing, seeing, or reading familiar words, their meanings come to our mind immediately. This kind of relation is signification, or what we call as dalala. Hence, the word is the signifier or dal, and its meaning is the signified or madlul. For example, when I say table, the word table is the dal signifier, whereas the actual table I am referring to is the signified or what we call as madlul, the object of the verb. Number 3, signification is defined as the state of a thing in a way that when the mind learns it, immediately it transfers to another thing. Number 4, not all significations are the same. Therefore, according to the difference in the signifiers, we can divide signification into 1, verbal or lafzi, and non-verbal, that is 2, or غير لفظي. Number 5, the 3 different kinds of verbal signification are coincidental or mutabaqah, partial or tadammum, and associative or iltizami. Now let's deal with the current lesson that we have, which is about the classifications of words. We will talk about the following subtopics. 1, the first classification, the second classification, the third classification, kinds of compound, kinds of perfect compound, kinds of singular words. Let's first deal with the first classification. When we consider a word with its meaning, it could be one of the following 5 kinds. 1, monosemic, or what we call in Arabic as mukhtas, a word which means a word that does not have more than one meaning. such as the words Allah, Tehran, assuming that there is no personal name called Tehran, and calcium. Number 3, what we call as polysemic, or in Arabic, mushtarak. It means a word with multiple meanings, coined simultaneously or independently, such as the word plant, which means, among others, 1, a living organism with leaves and roots, and a building of group of buildings for the manufacture of a product, meaning a factory. Number 3, what we call as derived or manqul. It means a word having several interrelated meanings coined at different occasions. Therefore, one of the meanings has precedence over others. For example, the word salat, which means prayer. Literally, it means prayer. But in Islam, it is transmitted from its primary meaning and has been coined especially for the Muslims' ritual prayer. Depending on its transmitter, a derived word could be canonical, it could be logical, it could be syntactic, meaning it has something to do with syntax or nahu, or philosophical and the like. Number 4, what we call as improvised or murtajal. It means a word with several unrelated meanings, such as the case of most personal names of people and places. Number 5, we have literal or haqiqah and figurative, or what we call as mujaz. It means a word that has only one coined meaning but is used in different situations with one meaning, which is figurative. For example, the word moon, which means a large body that moves around the earth and shines at night, is used in Arabic literature for beautiful face as well. So the first meaning is literal and the second one is figurative. Please take note that this classification is mentioned in logic to denote that polysemic and figurative meanings are not used in definitions and arguments unless there is an indication or what we call qarina for such. Also, the derived or manqul and improvised or murtajal words must not be used unless their relationship with the first meaning is completely detached. That's why most fallacies are made as a result of polysemy. Second classification. When two or more words are compared, they may be one of the two kinds. 1, synonymy, or what we call in Arabic as taraduf. That is, when all stated words have the same meaning, as in the case of human being and man. Number 2, heterogeneity or tabayun. That is, when all stated words have distinct meanings, as in the case of stone and human. Now take note that from the logical point of view, the definitions, or as you can remember, we call it mu'arrif, and the defined, or what we call as mu'arraf, must be synonyms in a perfect definition. But from the viewpoint of brevity and details, they must be different. Now, defining human being as man or vice versa, therefore, is not a real or hakiki definition. Instead, it must be said that human means rational animal or hayawanun natiq, and therefore, two homogeneous words cannot be the definiants or definient of each other. So that is obvious. Sometimes it is not correct to use synonymous or mutaradif words in recognizing or in reasoning, I should say, or what we call as istidlal. For example, every man that is insan is a human being or bashar, and every human is a growing substance or jasmun nami. So every man is a growing substance. Here there's no argument. Why? Because in fact the second premise and the conclusion of the argument are the same. And this is because man and human being are synonymous, are synonyms. So synonymy and heterogeneity are used in logic in different subjects which do not include the present context. Let us go to the third classification. Strictly speaking, a word either has a component or no component. When we say component, a component may or may not signify a part of the meaning of the word, such that any component of the word is an equivalent of a part of its meaning. That is, though a word has components, not just any component is a part of the meaning, but the whole component signifies a single meaning. Okay, so let us deal with this. The first and the third cases are singular or mufrad words, and the second one is called compound or murakkab words or murakkab word. So examples of singular. The word bi in Arabic, which means with or by, in the sentence katabtu bil qalam, I wrote with the pen. Another, the word Abdullah as a proper name. So here, example of compound, the word Abdullah in the sense of servant of God or God's servant. How about the kinds of compound? Compound words are divided into one, complete or tam, and two, incomplete or naqis. When we say perfect compound, it means the compound with complete meaning, and the speaker can stop talking and the addressee is not waiting to hear more. For example, the sentences Hassan came back from a bazaar or go to the school today. So it's complete. Imperfect compound, on the other hand, refers to the compound with incomplete meaning. Therefore, the speaker cannot stop and the addressee is still expecting to hear more. For example, Hassan is going to, it's not clear, going to the mosque, going to the school, going to the office, going to the house. It's not clear. So this must be completed. And another example, today the school is what? The school is open or the school is closed or whatever. How about the different kinds of perfect compound? Perfect compound is divided into one, predicative or khabar, and non-predicative or insha. Predicative complete compound has external reality in the world, and conformity, affirmation, and negation are presented in it. Take for example, yesterday was Friday. And another example, tomorrow is Monday. The concept in non-predicative perfect compound has no external reality in the world, and there is no conformity, affirmation, and negation in it. For example, as a command, be polite. As a prohibition or nahi, do not accompany bad people. As an interrogative or istifham, what time is it? And finally, as a vocative expression or nida, O Muhammad. So these are examples of non-predicative perfect compound. Now, finally, let us proceed to the kinds of singular words. In the parlance of logic, a singular or mufrad word or expression is divided into three. One, kalima. Two, ism. Three, adat. Let's first deal with kalima. Here, kalima refers to the syntactic fi'l. When we say syntactic, meaning from the perspective of nahu or syntax. For example, he went. Another example, he comes. A verb is a word which has an independent meaning and it indicates one of the tenses. Number two, what we call as ism. It is a singular word with an independent meaning and has no tense. For example, Hassan. Another example, eating. Number three, adat. It is the syntactic harf or preposition and has no independent meaning, and it implies the relationship between two things. For example, the words with, into, and to. These are examples of adat. Take note that since a logician deals with assent or affirmation or what we call as tasdiq on issues pertaining to argumentation, and that between two kinds of compounds, just the predicative perfect compound can be confirmed and negated, non-predicative compound is not discussed in logic. So in other words, since the subject of logic is the definitions or what we call as mu'arrif and the evidence or hujjah, and that non-predicative is neither definitions nor evidence, logic has nothing to do with non-predicative compounds. In short, logic is an instrument for other sciences, and since scientific matters are mentioned by predicative propositions, non-predicative propositions are not discussed in logic. Okay, so That's all for lesson 6. Now, let's take a look at the review questions, or I would even say prelectio questions. 1. Write the 5 types of singular words along with examples. Number 2. Explain synonymy and heterogeneity along with examples. Just one example for each. What are the types of compounds? Write examples for each. Just one example for each. Number 4, what are particles in logic? And as for your practical exercise, write an example of non-predicative sentence which apparently contains the affirmation or negation. So next meeting, inshallah, we will deal with lesson 7 about concept and referent, as well as universal and particular. So for more similar contents, subscribe to Wayfaring with Mansoor channel. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.